Hey gang, Scott here. This video may be just a short, quick reminder to us landscape photographers that when you're out for sunrise or sunset and you find a subject that you want to work with and you're right around the bookends of sunrise or sunset, to not get like completely locked into a particular composition all the time. There's always reasons to break this rule, but the reason I'm bringing this up is I took a recent, really quick outing for sunrise just to a local open space park near where I am, and the skies were kind of overcast but changing quite a bit, and in retrospect I wish I'd captured some video to share here, but we're gonna have to make do a little bit with some stills, and I'll kind of describe what was going on here. So I went out to this open space park, and this gives you an idea of what I was looking at. So a lot of cloud cover. This is the unprocessed, untouched, raw, just a feel for what the place was like. But you can see, like in the upper left, there's like hints of those pinks and slight oranges starting to hit the clouds. Sun is coming up to camera left. This is maybe 10 minutes or so before sunrise. And since the sun was coming up to camera left, I worked my way down this trail, actually moving toward the camera, and I would have exited the trail to the lower right corner of the frame because I like that singular tree there, and that was going to be my subject. And I would use whatever the sky or the background would present to me to make the composition whole, and was really just watching what was going on with the skies. I kind of chose on my subject, that tree. That's what I'm going to work with. What else is nature going to give me that would let me frame that up in an interesting way? And so the composition that I settled on at first is this one I'll show you here, where I put the tree on the left. I have this other clump of rocks in the lower right, emphasizing the sky. The sky had gotten quite interesting at this point. Okay, this is the unprocessed raw again that we're looking at here. But the clouds had started to break up somewhat. And I guess break up isn't even really the right term because of what's going on with the light. We still have light coming in from camera left, but it's hitting the sky differently. And so capturing this photo, and this is about as wonderful as sunrise got. It didn't get to be like amazingly colorful. Although in post-processing, I kind of asked myself, well, what if that happened? What might it have looked like if it were a very rich yellows and oranges, and there's these darker bands in the clouds that had these deeper blues? What would that look like? So, had fun and resulted with this. And to me, this was fun to do. If I didn't tell you this didn't happen, this is within the realm of possibility, right? There's there's bits of the sky that are a little bit hot for my taste, to be honest. But it was a fun exercise to say, okay, what would have happened, and really accentuating the flecks of oranges and yellows, and especially in the foreground, spent quite a bit of time trying to bring up certain parts of the grasses. Like, imagine if that sun had hit the golden light, the golden light hit the grasses in the right way. But that really didn't happen. But coming back to conditions are changing and not getting too fixated on a particular composition, this really wasn't going to sing like I made it somewhat happen in post-processing. Yet the sun is still rising, the light is still changing. What else can I do? Because I only have a few minutes, and then the light's really either going to get washed out, or in this case, the sun was going to get swallowed up by another large cloud bank and kind of go back to that, unattractive blue-gray that we get on overcast days. So this is what's going on with the scene now. Things are kind of looking like this. And so then I pivot and just pan to camera left. And this is what's happening. All right, the sky's opening up. You can see I'm almost including the sun at the left edge of the frame. But there's this just different feel, this very different, there's haze down in the lower parts of the frame, but there's still some interest in the sky. What could I do with this in post-processing? And I didn't want to go do that same, let me push color around and let me make this look like it was really a vibrant sunrise, because it wasn't. This would be like a little more true to the nature of the scene on that day. I ended up here. And the reason was that haze and that mist down there, it gave me a feeling of like kind of like a more vintagey type of photo where things were a bit washed out. But in particular, I liked that the light coming in from left and not really illuminating the tree, but illuminating things behind it and letting the silhouette of that tree be a little more prominent. And so making sure to accentuate that in post. I'm going to bounce back and forth between those two photos again, the unprocessed image and the processed image. And we're photographers, we notice these things. I have done some gradient work where there is darkening here and there's darkening here, so, and then like a reverse of that with a radial to kind of create a little more, accentuate that directional light into the scene. So my point of sharing these photos with you is to remind me that when you're out, you've got that window of time right around sunrise or sunset, and as things are changing, you've got a subject in mind. Don't get too ingrained in a particular composition when the conditions aren't going to make it any better, right? In this case, going back to that first image where I had the tree on the left, the sky was just not going to get any better, and instead pivoted to this other photo, and I left with two images that I enjoyed from this outing, as opposed to being stuck with one and having a whole bunch in my camera of the same scene with very little variation in the sky. There are times to commit to a composition and stick with it, especially if you're doing things with, I'll do this at the ocean all the time, waiting for the right wave, waiting for the right motion in the foreground, or there really isn't something else you can go and recompose. But I just wanted to share this because it was recent on my mind, and I hope you enjoyed it. Any other questions, or you've got stories that match this, or a different story that says, Scott, here's an exception you didn't think about? Drop them in the comments. Let me know about them. And until next time, my name's Scott Davenport. Have fun.